Hello, and welcome to Shades of Pleasure, a podcast celebrating pleasure, sexuality, and the vibrant, inclusive spectrum of love, gender, and relationships. I'm your host, Mo, and with me are my co hosts, Melissa, Wayne, and Kelly. And together we hope to dismantle tropes that no longer suit us and change the narrative towards more authentic living. Hello, and welcome back to Shades of Pleasure. Tonight is our season finale.
Woo!
One. Yeah. So I think last time we talked about emotional dysregulation and how that can show up for a lot of people practicing non-monogamy. And one of my questions was for Melissa and Wayne, who a lot of what we were talking about was like how you two have worked through a lot of this, the jealousy and insecurity and the ups and downs and the manipulations and the gaslighting and all of those things that were happening kind of early on, and how you've kind of, and there was this one part where Wayne was describing this thing where Melissa would just set these really firm boundaries and the communication was so beautiful. And Melissa would say, I can't go there right now with you. Right. And it got me thinking, you two have worked on this for 20 years, right? You two have worked on figuring out how to regulate yourselves, how to talk about this hard stuff. But then you get into relationships with people who are either new to this or they don't have the skills or the tools that you two have been cultivating for 20 years, right? And so that was my question. And that was what I wanted to sort of talk about. Like, what do we do when we as therapists, and this is true for anyone that's done any sort of work on themselves, right? And or work in their relationship, and then they get into another relationship or they get into situations where they're dealing with people that don't have that kind of background. And now you're dealing with people that, we used that term last week, not emotionally sober, right? So that's the topic for the week, and I know Wayne has a lot to say about this.
Oh, actually, I would love for Melissa to start.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to start? Let's see. Clearly we just think we're perfect and we hold high standards and just expect everybody to just follow suit. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, actually I was sitting here thinking about or trying to think like what would I say about like what would I have to say about all this, trying to come up with some kind of response. And the first thing that came to mind was like, while yes, that is true, and we have a lot of experience and we've definitely found a rhythm with each other finally in a flow together. Um, I think also what I'm learning, and I'm still kind of new to this new relationship part is with another person part, is that to take all of that and like put it aside and still come in with a curious mind and not thinking that I like know it all. Um and to lean into like what I don't know, meaning like what I'm saying? Like I don't ever want to get to a place where I feel like I know it all or where I'm like the expert of something. And maybe that's my own hang up, but I think what's really been helping me is that to like, I don't know, just to have that humility of I don't know. I know. Roll with me. I'm gonna get somewhere with it. I'm gonna get somewhere with it. Um, I think I just mean that being open to kind of like being in a new experience with somebody, because I think equally kind of bringing into, even though we have found a flow, bringing that into my new relationship, expecting that same rhythm and that same flow to work with this different person, can cause a whole nother, it could cause a whole nother issue. So what I'm saying is, I'm not gonna duplicate that in my new relationship because it's an entirely different person. Um, so I don't want to come in thinking that the same tools that I've gained with Wayne, the same experiences that I can just go into a new relationship and use that. And I think that's kind of what I'm experiencing now is that that's not necessarily true. And so I'm just being humble and vulnerable and allowing, I guess that's the tool that I'm leaning on the most is like being humble and being vulnerable and being open to a new person and a new experience and a new rhythm and flow with them. While at the same time leaning into like what I've learned about myself, in
Mhm.
our relationship.
Mhm.
That's a long, long version. Oh my gosh.
Can I say
Now it got to
what I think
complicate.
I'm, well, yeah, can I say what I think I'm hearing and you tell
Yes.
me how correct I am? I think what I hear you saying is that you and Wayne have done a lot of work around being grounded in your values. And where you two are, you're grounded in your values. And it becomes exponentially more complicated and vulnerable the more people that get brought into it. So you're trying to like stay grounded in your values while still being open to exploring other things. Does that feel correct or am I missing something?
Um, no, that's not wrong. I think maybe I don't know if you had the context of the part where last episode we were talking about new relationships. So both Wayne and I are exploring exploring new relationships with other people.
Yeah, that's the
And
exponentially more complicated part. I was
right.
like that feels like exponentially more complicated, but still
Right.
staying out of it. Yeah, sorry. I know.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And what do I want to say about this? So, yes, rooted in our values. And what did you say? It gets exponentially more complicated the more people that we add.
Complicated and complex, the more people are involved.
Yeah, and but I think last week what we were talking about was like how we found a flow, especially you said
Okay.
non-monogamy. Wow, I just called you non-monogamy, Mo. What the hell? Mo was talking about, especially being therapists, sex therapists, and coaches. One, we kind of have this information, education, knowledge, and just in general that Wayne and I have put in a lot of time, efforts, and work into our relationship like uh, even though that's the case, entering in new relationships, it can still bring up a whole new adventure with people, and we can feel like we don't know what the hell we're doing, even though we have all that experience.
Yeah, I think,
Mm.
and if you guys don't mind that I kind of interject here, it feels like how it feels for us in general in life as coaches and therapists, and we talk about boundaries all the time. We talk about trying to be clear with our communication. We talk about being authentic with our expression, and we're not always in relationships with people that understand all of that. Again, I think it goes back to doing the work, and we're not just doing the work on ourselves, we're helping others do the work. So we're like inundated with this information, and when we get into relationships with people, we can't expect them to understand this, and we also can't be the teacher of it, right? Because that's going to create a power dynamic, a power imbalance and dynamic, I think, that makes those relationships like we have to take our therapist's hats off, right? We have to take our sometimes even our sex positive hats off and lean into educating without educating, like maybe just role modeling, right? Just living our truth and hoping that that is influential enough without having to teach people. Because if the minute we start teaching our partners, that's the minute we become we're not in a relationship anymore. We're creating an imbalance where one person is on like a one up position than the other person.
Well,
Yeah.
you're in a relationship. There's just a power dynamic within that relationship that's not even.
Yeah, it creates that
Yeah.
imbalance. right?
Yeah.
Unless it's agreed upon, like, yes, I want you to teach me these things. But again, who wants to teach this stuff to their partner? We get paid to do this,
Yeah.
right? We get paid to psychoeducate people and hold space for people and show them what it means to hold boundaries. Isn't not emotional labor when we do it with our partners.
Yeah, but even if it's for someone who's not a therapist or anyone in that realm, I just know this sort of ethical non-monogamy or sex positive stance in life isn't necessarily the norm. And so just an everyday person can get in a relationship with someone and it can become a burden for them, or it can come an imbalance for them, just for, anyone they've met on the apps or anything. So I don't necessarily think you have to be in our position for that to feel like an imbalance when it starts happening.
Yeah, yeah. I know for myself, I used to, me and Melissa joked about this often. I'm like, man, like I'm outside. When I go outside, I'm expecting that I'm gonna talk to people who are where you are, and I realize that they're not there. It's not because they're, for all the things again, all the work that we've done and put into getting where we are, just to research and the learning and just taking the time to really be good at something, right? And so uh what was big for me that has been echoed to me in the past 8 months now since I've been in this, I have a new relationship that I'm in, and it's been echoed to me is patience, right? And I love what you said about modeling mode and not teaching and just modeling, just showing them, just being and just modeling. I've really taken to heart about just patience because I don't think I had it at first. And I think that I would get frustrated. I would just, it's like how aren't you here? Or how don't you notice things? This is before when I was trying to interact with people, and I was like, wow, like man, am I just not choosing well? Like, so then I had this whole thing that it had to look a certain way if I would choose to spend time with somebody. And what I've learned now, thanks to Melissa and the person I'm seeing, is that they've just continued to just echo patience, like just have the patience, and obviously to a certain to the extent that I can have patience for in the capacity I have, but it's like it just helped me slow down. And just to be able to show up differently and not have these expectations of where they should be at, opposed to where we can meet at right now. Yeah.
I think that's what I was trying to get at in the very long about way earlier and complicated way is that like Mo, you said, we have to take our hats off, our therapist, our coach, our expert hats off, and model. I think even with that, even like with the modeling, I think there's still this kind of implication of, hmm, of like we just, I'm gonna use lazy wording right now, like we know better, or like we know more, we know better. Um, but the thing is, and especially when we're getting into a relationship with someone, it's like we're a person. I mean, even with our clients, right? Like we're a person. Yes, we're a therapist. Yes, we're a coach, but we're a person. Also, we're a person first, right? We bring in our person self into the sessions, even more so with relationships. And so I think there is this vulnerability and this humility, this
Hmm.
humbling, yeah, of like, despite all of the information, the knowledge and the education that we have, when we're in it, it's a whole nother playing field. It's a whole nother game, ball game, because we're in it. We're a part of it. We are emotionally involved. We're emotionally invested. And so while we have all of that knowledge, information, or whatever, we're engaging with it and we have access to it in a different way when I think we're so involved in it. So I think it's I don't know, to our benefit and to the relationship's benefit to like to lean into that part and be human in our relationship, because at the end of the day we chose to be in a relationship with these people,
Hmm.
right, regardless of what their education, their
No, no.
background, their experience is, or whatever the case, like we're choosing to be in a relationship with them. So if we're going in like even modeling, I feel like I don't know,
Yeah, yeah, like works in progress too. Like
exactly.
we're not always great at
Let me
emotionally
tell you, that
regulating.
shit comes up. Those insecurities, I don't care how much experience you have, it will come up.
Yeah. And and we also have a privilege that I want to acknowledge that you and I have each other to come process things with
Hmm.
when we're dealing with outside of ourselves. We get to come back, we get to use the tools that we have with each other, and we get to
Hmm.
process these things and gives us a different perspective and just like, oh wow, I didn't think of it that way, or oh yeah, that really helps. That helps calm me down, and so I'm not activated as much. And so it's like wow. So again, I just want to acknowledge that we have a everybody may have that privilege, and hence then we go back to support systems and all those type of things that we hope people have,
Hmm.
in place. But yeah, I feel privileged to have you to be able to talk to you when things come up for me, because I'll be ready to kind of like just like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna give up on it. It's just not worth it. But then you will be like, Wayne, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Y'all worked to get to
Yes.
that place. Y'all
yeah,
worked really hard to get.
yes,
Worked hard, and you have your anchor partner, and I don't know if the people that you're in relation with, if they have lots of experience with non-monogamy, because a lot of times the people that we get in relationships with don't, right?
yes,
Right.
There's more and more people getting interested in non-monogamy and wanting to explore it. Um, and and that puts, people with more experience maybe in a precarious position, you know, maybe not,
mm,
um, but I think it's good that you recognize that privilege that you have of actually having I don't know if you call yourself primary or anchor, but having that
definitely
long,
anchor.
long-term partner where you've worked at it for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely anchor.
yeah, definitely
Oh,
anchor.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, definitely anchor.
I thought for sure you would say primary.
Not anchor.
Oh,
Yeah.
You.
Wayne's changed.
Oh, I know. Look at him
Changed.
changing
No,
right in
no,
front of us, right
no,
in
no,
front of
no,
us.
no. I've said to Melissa a long time ago that she helps anchor me, and she knows it. She helps me.
It's
Yeah.
not that. It's the fact that you didn't choose primary
Mm,
or that you didn't include it. You were because yeah, this is interesting.
yeah,
Okay, okay, okay.
I like it.
You
You heard it here first, people.
heard
You
it
heard it
here,
here first.
breakthrough.
Evolving. Wayne is evolving.
yeah. But
Last week we learned all about how Wayne used to get really, really I don't know if jealous is the right word, but
oh no, all of the above. Yeah,
Was it Wayne? I thought we were talking about me. Was it?
it was both. It was
Uh,
we both.
both of you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
both. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Kate, I miss
But we
you.
talked about Wayne too.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know.
Change is not easy, right? That's what it boils down to. Like
Oh, we did. We were talking about that.
yeah,
Yeah, how
change is
much
not easy.
change.
When change happens, it's hard to accept the change that is happening or occurring, and having to shift and yeah, it can be tough. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. Yeah. And right and back and rightfully, but to your point as well, not to jump around, but
Even when it's good stuff, by the way, side
yeah,
note, even when it's like something you want and you really, you've been desiring or you're excited about, and it's good stuff, like the change can be really hard
yeah.
too.
Which that brings up another thing. But I want to jump this really quick. What Mo said is that when she was talking about, oh man, I think I lost it.
I'll say,
I lost both of them now.
oh, damn.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
It's okay.
I
It's okay.
lost one too. Not
Yeah,
We were
remember.
talking about
It's okay.
how Wayne you changed. Was
yeah.
before that.
No, it was something completely off oh no, one of them is that what you said, Mo, is I tell my clients that too, like who are non-monogamous, like the majority of people that you're going to date and most likely never have been in a non-monogamous relationship, you know, just because there's so many more people out here who haven't done it in an ethical way. Right. We're not speaking about not, but an ethical way to where we're talking about things outright and just kind of having these conversations. Everyone's included. It's hard for people, you
It
know.
takes a long time
Yeah.
to do it ethically, and I think that's why we started this podcast with the sort of like caveat, like that's something that we strive for, right?
Yeah.
Ethical and consensual non-monogamy is an ideal because that's not what we're taught in our culture. We're taught to lie and cheat and go behind people's back, and that there's only one person for us. And undoing those stories is so difficult.
Yeah. I don't know if we brought that up on this podcast or if me and Melissa talk about it separately and something that we were doing. It was where I remember in the past, I would deal with a couple of situations I had, well, that I would try to just having conversations with somebody. And I'm like, oh yeah, and then they would be open to exploring things. I'm like, okay, cool. Just let me talk. Let Melissa know. They're like, huh? You gonna let your wife know? That's weird. Like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, what? Like, weird. Like, what is weird about communicating to let her know what and I think it was just the idea of, oh, I get to have this thing or do this thing that's in secret that makes it exciting. But now this out there is just not so exciting anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to talk about that came up when we were talking. What was it? I
Yeah. See,
can't. Did you
Melissa
have
messed
something?
everybody up with her
One
thing.
too, and I didn't want to interrupt. It was something. It was I don't remember either.
Yeah. Yeah. Melissa threw us off with
I'll,
whatever
I'll,
she was saying. Yeah, yeah,
It was all good info,
yeah.
and I'm a little behind because I wasn't here last week,
Too
so I
bad
may.
this wasn't a live one. That would have been cool to get like people's comments and questions and feedback live.
Yeah, but like I just I've had clients recently I just talked to, about like just how because everybody feel a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people feel like non-monogamy is harder than monogamy. And I've said it over and over again, and I just think that monogamy, you just don't have to deal with a lot of things. But in your non-monogamous relationship, it comes to surface and you're definitely going to deal with them.
When you have less support from the person you want to lean into the most, right?
Yeah.
Because like in a monogamous relationship, like I mean, what I help people with a lot is trying to sort of separate from that person. I mean, there's a breakup, they're trying to separate, and that's who they're used to processing everything with. So that's who they want to turn to, and they can't. So with
Yes.
ethical non-monogamy, you actually get to process that with the person that it's affecting the most and that you want the most validation from and the most understanding from and with, right? Or am I
Yes.
crazy in that thinking? That's how I see it.
And even with that, right, it becomes tough in a monogamous relationship when like you just said, when like, oh, like trying to get them to separate from processing, maybe to have build their own support system, because then you can start to feel left out, or you can start to feel like, oh, I don't care about my partner or as much, or maybe I don't love because I can't process with them. It's all the things that come up in that feel scary, and it's none of the above, right? It's you were doing these things before you were in a relationship with this person, and but they shifted because you got into this relationship and you felt like all things had to be together. And if you could just remind yourself that other things you had before that helped you, and if you could just kind of figure out ways to incorporate it within a relationship, but it's tough.
Kelly, were you saying that, were you saying in a monogamous relationship that these are the things that we typically want or that we see? Is that what you?
Well, what I was saying that um, I help a lot of people like decouple or uncouple,
Mhm.
discouple, whatever you want to call it, right? And when they're trying to separate from that person, it feels like the person they want to process with the most is the person that they're separating from.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And if you're doing ethical non-monogamy, then that's the person you process with, right? And so they say it's hard. I mean, they could say, yeah, well, ethical non-monogamy is harder, but I don't know that I think that. I mean, yeah, it's all difficult, but I don't know that it's harder because
Mhm.
you actually still get to process with the person that you want to process with.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Is that, are you picking up
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
putting
Okay.
down?
I was just yes, yes. I think what happened is it sparked a whole nother thing, but I don't want to, I don't want to change it up again. I'll wait. I'll hold
No,
my
no, you're
breath.
good. You can change it.
Oh, okay. Well, it just had me have this side curious, this thought of like, what would you call it? What is it called? Is there a name out there for like when, you're non-monogamous, but you end up essentially just creating multiple monogamous like relationships? Is that like what do you know what I'm saying?
Like serial monogamy? Like,
Yes.
Well, serial monogamy though is
But
like one
then
at a
ethical
time.
non-monogamy, serial
Yeah.
monogamy. It's serial monogamish within ethical monogamy.
but you're talking about
Yeah.
parallel, not parallel non-monogamy, where you're in multiple relationships, but they all look like
Monogamy.
monogamous relationships.
Yes, I think that's what's happening to me right now. Interestingly, even though I'm non-monogamous, it's like I feel this part of me, uh, like, yeah, having that like monogamous hangover. I guess
Yep.
that's what we called it, right? Like
Yeah.
that monogamous
Yes.
kind of veil
Yeah.
over me. yeah, kind of developing this new relationship. And I think, not to judge it, I don't think it's a bad thing or wrong thing. I think it makes sense that now that I'm in it and, not judging myself so hard about it, like it makes sense. It's a new relationship. There's a lot of unknowns and so I think what it's bringing up for me is just this like less sense of certainty and clarity, or security that I've spent a long time developing with Wayne. Um, and so I think one way that kind of is a default of coping with that, or pushing back on that, is like what comes out of like as this monogamous tendency of like I don't know. Let's just, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Would you consider doing like a kitchen table poly, the four of you? Because right now, what I'm hearing is you've got a relationship that's separate from you and Wayne, and you're doing it in a sort of kind of mimicking monogamous way. And so, yes, while you're being ethically non-monogamous, it's not polyamorous, right? It's not polyamory or it's not like a polycule, right?
Mhm.
And I think polycules, everybody kind of gets along together, everybody hangs out together, right? That's kind of like that is what I think breaks the parallel monogamy that you're talking
Mm-hmm, hmm. Yeah,
about.
I do think it is polyamorous. You're right. It's more parallel polyamory. I am open to a version of kitchen table polyamory. Um, yeah, and I think ideally that's where I would like to be, where they're more integrated
The
into
village.
our lives and whatnot. Also, I kind of like some of the parallel parts too, though. So, yeah, a version of that for sure. Hmm.
So two things. One, I think that, just in new relationship in general, you just want to kind of build that base to kind of secure it, and so before you start, so I get that, to understand
Hmm.
it. Also on my part, on my side, my relationship is integrated within us. So we are, we're definitely integrated. Um I feel as though, and I could be wrong, I'll let Melissa speak for herself, but I feel as though on Melissa's end, because Melissa is dating men, I don't know if the people she's dating is open to it in a way that maybe she would be open to it, as opposed to on my end, the people that I'm dating are open to integrating and coming in, and and being a part of, and all the things. So
Mm,
yeah.
I think so. I mean, to an extent, I guess that's not a conversation we fully have had, but my guess is to an extent, yes. Maybe not all the way to the extent that like we are experiencing on your end.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if that's what I want, though. Yeah.
Right, and I think that you would
That's the
want,
part that's the part
yes.
of the parallel that I kind of like, was like, oh, I thought that I wanted in the past I thought I wanted this full kitchen table poly where we're all just like this living community and whatnot. And I'm like, I don't know I don't know if I actually want that now. But definitely somebody who comes around more often and who's included, involved in
Mhm.
doing things with us more, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because you love your alone time.
I do. I really do.
Yeah, and having everybody all up in your business all the time might
Yeah,
not be might
yeah,
Yeah.
not bode well for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
including the people that I really love and desire and like care about the most.
mm,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just for a little clarification, and maybe this would be like a starter for next season. I don't know, but Wayne, are you saying it's a little bit more gendered? Maybe that.
I think so. I think
That's
so.
kind of what I was feeling. Yeah,
Just in the conversation that her and I have had
yeah.
around her experiences, they kind of come across like that. I think that uh uh
I don't
before.
think that's the case for this one though. I think it's just new.
No,
We're
yeah,
still new.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just saying, speaking in general,
Yeah.
right? Before.
But in
But if
general.
we even look at like social acceptance, it's more socially accepted for women to sort of be in those kind of things than men,
Right,
right? Like,
Yeah.
right.
so I don't know. Again, I don't want to open anything. That maybe we start that
No, no,
next
no, 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 no,
season,
and
but
Yeah,
That's true.
and I will also say that, before it was more so just friends that I was trying to incorporate, just us
Yeah.
doing things exciting. This is the first time that we've actually, on my end, actually incorporated somebody into, our daily lives and all type of things. And so, and for me, I've realized like, oh yeah, this is what I've been wanting. And I think that uh I don't know. Only time will tell. I believe that once Melissa is established in whatever the relationship is, I think that she
You
would
said I would want it
she
more.
would want it more as well. Yes, it's what I'm feeling.
Ooh.
Yeah, when it's new relationship energy, we do tend to like have a lot more of that obsessive kind of quality,
Yes.
like wanting to spend all of our time with that person. Like that is a part of the chemical reaction.
Yeah.
NRE. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Relationship.
And I've already had that experience. I've got to experience that for months. And now that, it's a little past that for me, I'm like, oh, yeah, we could
Mm.
do all the things together. And I think that when she eventually gets to that point, I think that she would be feeling the same, is what I believe. But again, only time will tell.
But that would be interesting. This is a
It'll be interesting when
documentation happening that
right
we
when
can go
we
back and
when we
listen.
come back in the spring, and we'll see where
Yeah.
your relationships stand, and how has there been integration, has there been conversations around it, and it would be interesting to explore the gender differences, because that 100% they exist. I mean, like, how many clients come into our offices, and non-monogamy is great for the guy as long as it's two women,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the idea of her being with a man and there being suddenly two men in the equation, um, non-monogamy is off the table.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're right. And it could totally be this thing that like my mind isn't even allowing to imagine it because what do you call it? My internal
Bias.
schema or
Your
whatever,
intuition.
right? It's not, it's just like that just doesn't, you know, it's not calculating. It's like, no, that thing doesn't happen. Two men, in the same
Yeah.
space like that. Like it's an almost an impossible thought, almost an impossible. It's
And,
just like, nah.
and let me acknowledge. Oh, sorry, not to cut you. And let
I
me.
was just going to say that's part of our toxic heteronormativity, normativity, right?
Yeah.
In our culture, that male toxic masculinity.
Yes. And
Right?
I was going to say, let me acknowledge my part in this and that how I've shown up in the past is completely resistant to it all. Like, yeah, no, that's not, yeah, I don't even understand why we even have that conversation. Like, yeah. But where I'm at today,
You've been opening up to a lot. Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
possibilities.
And you've changed. That's
Yeah.
the title of this
You changed
today's
today.
episode.
You just
No, no,
changed
no, no,
today.
not today. No, 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 no. I definitely view it as I've matured a lot,
Yeah.
and I can definitely I now see and understand, like, yeah, as I tell my clients, like, the same things you want, your partner most likely wants as well. The same things you're
Yeah.
open to, your partner's most likely open to
Yeah.
as well.
And that, this kind of phenomenon that happens that I know a lot of clients they get really they get really upset about is that like sometimes it takes your partner to
Yes.
experience the thing for them to shift, for them to have a transformation, for them to kind of soften and lean into it and open up and be, open to things. And
Yeah.
I know that's hard. I know there could be a lot of resentment around that of
Yeah.
like, oh, now you want to be open to things because you have somebody or you experience things. But
Yeah.
because I know I've been there before, but I'm glad that we both got to a place where it's like, great, go ahead and have
Yeah.
the experience, because what opens and shifts for you opens and shifts for me too. Not that I have to do it that way, but it just
It's
generally
so many
does.
parallels with that outside of so many different things, but
And
yeah, I agree.
that's what happens when you're in a relationship together, right? You mirror each
Yeah.
other so much, right? What one person goes through, the other person is going to go through.
Yeah.
Um,
And a lot of times the question can come up as like, okay, so what if, so yeah, you're good because you're in a relationship, so you're totally good with what she's doing. But what if you weren't in a relationship anymore, then would you be open to the things that she's doing? And I would say that I've already thought about it. Actually, we've had experience in a few months ago to where I was kind of feeling in a low space and it wasn't getting I felt like I wasn't knowing what direction me and my partner were gonna move into. And Melissa was like, "Hey, I want to go visit." I was like, "You know what? Before I would probably be like, nope, I need you because I'm feeling down and out and I need some support." I was like, "No, go, like go enjoy yourself. I'm okay, I'm good. So I don't want you to feel like because I'm in
Woo!
whatever crises mode, whatever I'm dealing with, that you got to take care of me. Go, I'm gonna be okay. Like go."
Yeah.
And so I've already come to
Love
that
that.
point to where I know that I can take care of myself, and if it becomes big enough to know, she would know, So yeah,
That's
So
the
speaking
beautiful
to,
part about learning about non-monogamy, even if you decide to stay monogamous, is that independence, autonomy, and the self-regulation, right? I can do this. I
yeah,
don't need my partner to take care of my feelings,
yeah,
take care of me in this way. We can ask for it, right? We
yes,
can let them know that we're having a certain feeling, but that shouldn't dictate their behaviors or their actions,
yes.
right?
I
I
literally
wanted to hear what
practiced.
Kelly was going to say before she loses her
Yeah,
thought.
please don't lose your thought, Kelly. Yeah, I literally practiced what I tell my clients. Right, I actually sat in it, and I gained a lot of clarity in sitting in, it, and I was able to show up differently to the partner I'm speaking about, and I was able to show up differently because I was able to sit in it and just gain some clarity around it. The things we tell our clients, right? Just kind of like, process it, within yourself, and kind of like take the time. Don't try to preoccupy yourself. Don't try to avoid it by put all these things in, but just like lean into it and see what it feels like and what comes up for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you lose it, Kelly? I didn't want you to. You were going to say something.
I have no idea.
Dang it.
Like come and go all day long. It's
Oh,
fine.
I'm
Come back.
I
sorry.
wanted to know.
I'm
All right,
sorry.
well, I'm gonna jump in there and say something then if you don't know. Mo, because you said uh this is what we learn in non-monogamy is that we don't need our partners to like take care of our feelings, that we can, take care of our own feelings. So I think again, this is something I was alluding to, trying to get to earlier.
She's still trying to clear it up.
Yes, no, well, I am. Because we got into this whole thing about like kitchen table and, more what seems like, I don't know, logistical or whatnot. But the thing that I was saying was coming up for me was more on an emotional level of like, even though as an experienced non-monogamous person, as a, sex and relationship therapist, I have all of these tools and I know that, I get to take care of my own feelings. I don't need anybody to take care of my feelings. Being in a new relationship, all that shit goes out the window. And I'm like, no, take care of my feelings because I'm feeling it. I'm in it. You
Mhm.
know? And
Your your activated child
I'm
shows
act
back up.
yes, yes, my activated inner child just comes up, all those attachment wounds and everything that you thought you quote unquote healed and cleared up in one relationship is like, oh no, that comes right
Oh,
back up
no.
again in a new relationship. And so that is the humbling part that I'm experiencing with the new person who isn't maybe as experienced with this non-monogamous lifestyle, but definitely has their own set of, tools and experience and maturity and things like that. And even still, it's always going to be just a new adventure with another person. So that's the thing that I'm taking away from it is like lean into that. That's part of the developing a new relationship with somebody, and hopefully it's with somebody that is open to doing that work with you. So yeah.
Yeah, Melissa, I try not to be super directive with my clients, but when I am, I always give the caveat of take my advice, it's great, and I'm not using it. You know, so
Love
like,
that. Ooh, I'm gonna use that.
it's different having visibility into someone else's experience and
Yep.
us actually having it, right?
Yep.
And when we have visibility into something that's not affecting us, then
Yep.
it's great. We can see it with such clarity. But when we're
Yep.
actually in it,
Oh,
Yes.
it is,
We're
that's
in
what
it.
we talk to our therapist about.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And we
And
have to
the
go through it. And
therapist.
we would be robbed of the learning experience if we didn't go through it and we just lean
Yeah.
on what we think we know and then, and then intellectualize our experience because we have that knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It reminds me of Kelly. I remember years ago when I started working at last. and you were really just so sweet and supportive. And I think we met up at the bar nearby, and we just chit chatted because I was going through some shit back then. And it
I
was the
remember
first
that.
time, yeah, remember. And it was the first experience that, when we always tell the story that, that was like my first experience having feelings, like having some emotional feelings for
Hmm.
somebody. Because, we were only sex focused,
Yeah, yeah,
and it was a hard time for us,
yeah.
and whew, it was a lot. And Kelly was really, really, really supportive at that time. And here we are, like
What
talking
I remember what I think of it. What was your take on how I reacted to all of that?
how you reacted to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or what was supportive
I'm
about
gonna
it?
try to remember, because what was supportive was one that you just asked me, that you just inquired, that you just were like, "Hey, do you want to talk about it? I'm here." And I think why that was such a big deal, is because it was a work setting. And I mean, this is a side note. This is not even about non-monogamy or anything like that. This is just like the perks and the benefits of being a sex therapist.
Right.
You know what I mean? And working in a sex positive space. Is that we don't have to do this complete thing of like, oh, you leave your personal, shit at home, and you don't bring any of that stuff to work, and or the things that we can talk about at work isn't so shocking and so like, oh my God, that's so private. You can't talk about your non-monogamous relationship with your colleagues. So one, that was just a whole experience of itself, was that even though you were my colleague, and this was kind of taking place at work, we could talk about all of these things. But I think you really were just a great ear. You asked a lot of questions. And I think you just encouraged me to, like, I don't know, to think and like to feel what I was feeling. Like, you encouraged me to just be authentic and true to myself, whatever it was, and like not be hard on myself. So that's what I took away from it.
Can I share a little bit about what I remember?
You can share whatever you like. Yes.
Um, I felt like there were two big things going on for you. One was you had not told your mother or your family kind of what you did or what that looked like. So you and Wayne were about to start sharing with your family that you were non-monogamous and all this. Am I correct in thinking this was at
I
the
think
same?
it was about the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
I
so.
remember that piece of it. And then I remember the other piece of, whoa, this is supposed to just be sexual, but I'm having feelings. Does that mean I'm cheating? Right. And so
Mhm.
you had a couple really huge things going on. One is, shit, I'm going to share this with my family. And like, we have kids. Like, what's this going to look like? And two, I have real feelings for this person. How's that going to land? So it was a really explosive time for you, is the way I remember that. And
Oh,
I could be
definitely.
conflating a few different moments, but
No, it was very explosive time for us.
that's what I remember. And so yeah, I just remember you needing like a place to drop it. And so
Hmm.
I'm glad that was supportive for you.
Yeah, thank you. It was. I think yeah, I remember just being really hard on myself. And I mean, even hearing you say it back now of like, yeah, you were like feeling it was cheating. I was like, oh gosh, wow. Man,
I didn't make it any easier.
I really feel
Yeah,
for that part of me of
I
like,
didn't make it
I
any
don't
easier.
know you yet, Wayne, so I may be with who knows how.
and yeah, I mean, whatever. Like it could totally be a version. It's
Yeah.
totally a version of that. I mean, at the end of the day, we were going to go to you brought up infidelity and some of the notes that you were sharing, Mo, for an event that you're creating. Um, and at the end of the day, it's like it was a betrayal. There was like a broken agreements and things like that. And so whether you name that as cheating or not, like it definitely had the weight of that, right? We felt the weight of that for sure.
Yeah.
But so thank you. And all of that to say thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. And it's kind of cool to now be here on this end of it and talking about these things.
I, I brought up to Melissa recently. I feel like it's like us talking about this right now. It's because we've done so much work and work through it. It's easy to talk about, right? It's not hard. I can be reflective and I can say all the things like and I told Melissa recently, I said, man, you know what would be dope? I think you can do. I think you can. I think what people don't get to see because they can hear us talk about how we went through it, how we got through it, all the things. They don't see the process, right? When you're in it, because a lot of people don't share that. A lot of people don't share the process when they're in it, hence therapy, you go to therapy on your own, that's not a shared thing. I told Melissa, I said, man, I think that would be dope is that, you know, to for her to create like maybe a live or something like that to where she just like it's like processing with Melissa to where you just come and just process live with people, her or
I'm
with
still
people.
not fully
Uh,
understanding that concept, but I'm open to it. I'm down
'Cause
for it, and I'm
I think
open
it'd be
to it.
so dope to
It's
because people get
basically
to
therapy with Melissa for free.
That's
because
what it sounds like. I'm
no, but
like,
it's like a 20 minute it's just 20 minutes but because again but
Callie seems to love it. Is that what these
No,
hands are?
it's couples therapy. Mo and I love watching couples therapy together. What's her name? Was
Orna,
Lorna. Hey,
Orna,
On
Lorna.
a
HBO
couple on
or
Showtime.
Showtime?
yeah, yeah, you do it for like 20 minutes and then and obviously they want more work, they can just pay you for it, whatever. But you get to, just really get to kind of process and kind of see, like what it's like to actually
All
go
right.
through the process, because people don't know because we talk about
We
processing, we talk
process
about
with
work.
Melissa. Melissa can get on air and talk about her problems for 20 minutes, and then the world is her therapist.
Yes, all of that, right?
Oh,
And
God.
either way, and I told her that, I said it to her too. I said because it's easy for us to kind of talk about it after the fact, but to talk about it when we're in it or kind of like needing that support, people don't get to see that part, and so they don't really know what the process is. They don't know what the work is when we talk about it. But then when we get to see it, they be like, "Oh wow, it's so much more than what I thought it actually really was. It's so much deeper than just
Yeah.
talking about it."
No,
Like yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
I can see the value in that. And yes, I see all of the risks of why I would be like, I don't want to do that.
Well, I think that's called Patreon. They have to pay to hear that shit.
Yeah.
They don't
That's a
just
good
get it
point.
for
Now
free.
my wheels are turning. I was like, oh, how do we
Yeah,
turn?
Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Actually,
for
I
me to
like
hear
that.
that.
So
Do
what
a
it
business
is more so is we do it in Patreon and we just share little clips of it
into
in
public.
Okay,
But
now we're giving away there. There's just a lot.
yeah,
That
yeah,
can get edited out, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
we
fine.
can.
That part
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
yeah.
No, it's fine.
yeah,
Let's just use this a little teaser of what's maybe to come.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No,
No,
I
but
appreciate all of
I
y'all.
mean,
And I think this is a good, I mean, I know I missed the last one. I'm sorry. I think, did I miss two or just that one?
This
Just one,
one,
just one.
this one, and we decided to carry on without you because we'd missed so many episodes. We were like, let's just do
I,
it.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm glad y'all did it. But I think this is a good ender for it all.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
number 10. Thank you all for participating and deciding to do this together. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm
thank
excited
you
for
so.
season two.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I am too.
And I told you, I love the fact that more people listen to it than I thought. They were like, oh, I listened to all the episodes. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, wow.
How
Okay, cool.
many people listen to it? I don't ever
I
look.
don't know, but
So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on iTunes, where you can listen to us on Substack, which is where we publish the original, and then it also goes out to all those channels. We're on YouTube Music, YouTube Regular, so it just kind of once we put it on Substack, you can listen to it there. You can subscribe to us there, and you can also donate to the cause. Obviously, we don't get paid to create this podcast, so all you listeners out there, if you want to help us continue to make this
Yes.
wonderful podcast that we're doing currently as a labor of love, we would appreciate your financial support so that we can do it for a living and quit
Yes.
our day job as
Yes.
therapists.
Yes.
yeah. Ooh,
I would never
Amazing.
quit my day job. I love my day job. But yeah.
I might. If you donate enough, I might.
Donate enough so that Melissa can.
Right. Yes,
Happy end of
But
please.
the year.
Melissa's good at being a therapist, so
Yeah, I am.
put a lot
Happy end
put a
of
lot
the
of
year.
time.
Well, the next will be in the new year.
Yes.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you all for this
Maybe it's
opportunity. It's
called
been
How
lovely.
Wayne Has Changed.
No, no.
Wayne, you've changed.
I
How
definitely have
Wayne has
definitely
changed right
grown.
before our
I've
eyes.
definitely grown. Yes. Yeah,
Season one, Wayne was a curmudgeon. Now look at
yeah.
it. I'm just kidding. I don't think I've never known you to be a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny because me and let's talk about that. Like within throughout our relationship, the entirety of our relationship, we've shifted. Like I was I'd be the one, and then Melissa got to, and then Melissa be doing all the research, and I gotta, like it's just shifted, and we finally feel like we're probably now at a space where we're meeting each other where we are.
Yeah.
Before it was kind of like this kind of up and down type of thing for both of us. Like I was like, I'm open to all the things. Melissa was like, no, I'm not open to any of the things. Then Melissa like, I've done all the work and research, and we can do it this way. Like, oh, that's hella scary. I'm not doing it that way.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a difference too that you're also seeing clients now, Wayne, because it puts you on the other side, right?
Definitely.
Like
Yeah.
Kelly was saying, I liked the way you phrased it when I can't remember how you phrased it, when we're like watching or we're on the
Oh,
outside.
well, we have visibility into
We
something as
have
opposed to
visibility, yeah. When you're on the other side of the couch, essentially, when you're in the therapist chair, or it's you get a different experience.
Yes.
And that,
it's the difference between visibility versus experiential, right? Are you experiencing it or are you watching it? And that's
Yeah.
totally different.
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you get to say, take my advice, it's great. Now.
I love that,
Right?
Kelly. I love it.
That's
I love
when
it.
that
And it's a true phenomenon that the universe will just bring you exactly what you need via your clients. Like not what you need,
So
but like what's
true.
happening in your
What's
life.
happening in your own life is what is
Always.
happening in your client's life. Like that is crazy. That's gonna be episode 1.
That's
Yeah.
where your TikToks come from, Mo. I think your TikTok and before TikToks, the YouTubes, all the things, all the way back. I think you're like, oh, I'm seeing this thing, and so I'm going to talk about it now. And so I think you take that visibility into what you've already experienced into knowledge for the masses, and that's what I appreciate about you, right? You're
Hmm.
experiencing it, but you have visibility. You're like, oh, I can put these two things together and like share it to the masses, and that's what you're really good at. And I
You are
appreciate
really good at that, Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoy
Don't
sharing.
put
I
Mo
think
in a box, though. Do not put Mo in a box.
don't put me in a
Never,
box.
never put Mo in a box.
I think of myself more as an educator than as a therapist sometimes.
That's another
Bringing,
way to,
bringing
yeah.
this information to the masses as opposed to doing it one by one person.
Yeah,
That's
It's-
another way to explain what I was just describing. Exactly.
exactly.
yeah.
Take the
But I
experience.
wouldn't be able to bring it to the masses if I didn't have my one-on-one clients. So they definitely inform what we talk about.
Hmm.
Well, you definitely modeled for Melissa because Melissa has taken that, don't put me in a box and ran with it. Oh my God.
I didn't model it for Melissa. I basically told Melissa.
No, what happened was not only was the universe giving her the same clients, also her employees. I was like, oh yeah, and I'm it, and I'm me and Mo related a lot on.
Mo got mad at me for saying it. I was like, don't put Mo in a box. She thought I was making fun. Do you remember? You're like, blah, blah. I was like, no, you can't put you in a box. You got mad at me for even saying it, but you're not in a box.
Yeah.
You do all the things and you put
Yes.
them together beautifully.
Oh, that's really sweet. I don't feel like it's beautiful. I feel scattered a lot of times, but I just
I
keep
agree with that, Mo. I agree with that, but because I am on this end and have visibility with it, I'm letting you know that it is beautiful. I'm experiencing it as beautiful,
Me too.
having visibility,
Oh,
and we're all here because of you, Mo. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
oh, that's really sweet. That's really sweet to hear on the 26th of December. Right
And our
before the
last
new year.
10th episode.
Our 10th
Right. I love
episode.
all of y'all. I gotta go.
Love you
Love you,
all
Kelly.
too. Thank you for this.
Yes.
Bye.
See you in 2026. Thank you for listening. Shades of Pleasure podcast is currently unsponsored and is brought to you by Los Angeles Sex Therapy and Last Collective in partnership with Shades Therapy and Shades of Non-Monogamy. To support our endeavor so we can continue to bring this pleasurable content, please visit our Substack at shadesofpleasure.substack.com. Thank you for listening, and until next time.